point feel, hey, we can do more, then you aim for the match. But right now you also have to be realistic. You go up against one of the big teams in Europe, and it's not going to be easy for you. Game number 1 didn't quite work out, but Dragonshire is also a very special map. We talked a lot about the coordination and communication that is needed there. The Ducks could not quite keep up with Dignitas, but maybe on Sky Temple they can change things up a little bit. And that starts, of course, as so often in the draft.
Abathur will be banned out, something that we see a lot against Dignitas. They enjoy their Abathur competitions, especially on bigger battlegrounds. Dignitas will ban out Dahaka here for themselves, so that means Dignitas will not pick it up for Azalea. What does the Ducks move into right away? In the past, it usually used to be that gray main first, but with the support meta being such a strong feat for a majority of our teams, I want to know if they'll try to go down the Oriel route.
We have actually earlier even not seen Oriel prioritized over Uther. Actually, in the games that we mentioned on Cursed Hollow, Oriel wasn't even picked, but the Ducks, they do exactly what you would expect. Uther as a first pick accents any kind of melee assassin very well, usually a Genji on Illidan, and also works very well against them since you can simply shift from a Divine Shield into a Divine Storm and focus more on stuns. It works extremely good if you're trying to lock an Genji down, but if you attempt to play around an Illidan composition again, the Divine Shield can of course be very beneficial. And the Ducks have now their double pick, so they could still head into one of these double support compositions that we've been mentioning.
Definitely can move into that route. Do they want to move into Illidan once again? Don't have that Rhaegar for the Illidan Tassadar, but still, Uther is great itself there for the engages. Can't go wrong with that. There's always the gray main the Ducks love to run. And one hero that we haven't seen in a while because we haven't been here in the HGC, Medivh for Sport Billy could be something that shows up later on in the draft.
That's true. Medivh could definitely be a thing for Sport Billy. His lane lines on a lot of their games were pretty fantastic. I'm not sure if they played him too much on Sky Temple. We've seen him a lot on Cursed Hollow, a lot on Temple of the Spider Queen. And let's see how the Ducks are going to run into this. This is going to tell us a lot here already. So we have for them a Sonya for the bot lane, and we have a Nubarak. So not really committing to anything just too crazy yet, just frontline pressure for them. Sonya with a spear can also put a lot of pressure onto Genji itself. We're going for the Poison Spear on 7 and Nubarak. Sonya also delivering them immediately a very good solo laner at the bot lane, but not really putting anything into that mix that Uther, or that can capitalize off Uther's Divine Shield yet.
Not to sidetrack the conversation, but does that Nubarak look like the Butcher for you? The 3 times that he's been locked in today, every time I see it, I immediately think Butcher and I have to read. He looks like the Butcher, man. Every time I get excited, I'm like, oh, but it's always the Nubarak.
It looks like a Zergling.
It looks like a Butcher. The eyes and everything and the teeth. Maybe I'm crazy, dude.
Can you lean in and look a little bit closer?
No,
Just
I can
try
see
it
from here. I have glasses on. I'm good.
Try it. Does that still look like the Butcher?
I mean, yeah, at first glance, dude. I stand heavily.
You need a new prescription.
Is that what you think? Fair enough.
How is that the Butcher?
I'm not saying...
That's a Zergling, if anything.
At first... Okay, alright, dude. Well, I'm not going to ask you in any way, shape, or form here. Falstad and Rhaegar on the right side here for taking in tosses. They're moving in.
Okay.
Alright, I mean, it's okay.
No, it's fine.
We have different eyeballs. I just wanted a different opinion. It's cool.
Maybe if I... Now I see it. Now I see it.
See? That exactly.
Yeah,
all you needed was one eyeball.
You look like Lily now. Falstad taken, and let's see what the second one is. So with Falstad, you have your global already set. With the Haka banned out, we have the pressure on the global, especially important for the second temple rotation, of course, when the temple spawns bot lane, so you can keep your global hero at the top a little bit longer and get a slight lead in experience. Bans also, with Sonya taken, banning out Malthael makes quite a bit of sense. Arthur's on the side of Team Dignitas. Arthur's is just absolutely awesome when it comes to presence on the shrine itself. The one thing that I want to point out is that what we currently didn't see in the first game, and so far also not in the second, is Garrosh. We talked about the hero a lot in our first series today, and he was either banned or picked.
Yeah.
But so far for those 2 teams, Ducks and Dignitas, doesn't really play a big role.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see the opinions on Garrosh switch from team to team. With Team Dignitas, they mentioned that Garrosh felt like someone that was strong to start off with, but ooh, Toronto coming in. But as they played against him more and more, they felt like his opinion fell off on him. Vala Toronto, though.
Yeah, so Tyrande is actually making more and more of an appearance in the European meta. in terms of double support lockdowns. I've seen it quite a few times, and we actually have seen her played already a little bit during the clashes. So right now you have a lot of stuns that you can use. For me, one question that immediately arises is, do they go into a bit of overkill mode by using Leap on Sonya as well for an additional stun? Because at this point you have you have stuns on a Nubarak, potentially on Sonya, on Uther, on Vala with the Rain of Vengeance, and on Tyrande. So you have stuns like you can lock someone down 6 days to Sunday. It's insane. By the time that the last stun hits, the cooldown of the first one is already up again, so basically you can go for an endless chain and it just blow the target up. So the name of the game is pretty clear for the Ducks. Try to get the CCE train going and blow a target up. And Tyrande is just absolutely fantastic for that role. Question simply is, can they pull that off? And Varian is already throwing a bit of a wrench into that plan, since you can always move in and hit a quick taunt there.
Quick taunt, again, to disrupt the ability for the CC to be locked down, but you're right, it is a major fear here. Is there too much CC for Dignitas to even deal with? It will come down to Bakery on that Rhaegar. Clin's got to be on point, and the Ancestor Healing, if you ever see that burst coming towards you, you may have to drop it earlier than normal, but we'll see if Dignitas will be able to handle what playing Ducks are serving up.
I really want them to go a bit crazy here. I would not mind that in the slice. First of all, Rhaegar, of course, as you rightly pointed out, is the linchpin here. If Rhaegar does not get the Ancestral or the cleanse out, then you are in trouble. That's where Cocoon comes into play. So you have to make sure, if you coordinate it right, the idea is always you dive in with your team and you have an immediate Cocoon on Rhaegar, and then the CC chain hits. You go for the rest of the team, you lead with a stun that can be either with a Leap, it can be a Nubarak, it can be Uther walking up and get a point and click stun in, and then the follow-up through Tyrande has to be there. And if you play that right and Vala immediately goes for the target, then you should be able to deliver a kill. So that's the thought process here. Fight, isolate targets, maybe snipe someone on lane with that, and they will be, they need to be extremely aggressive with this type of composition.
And then the Mighty Gust comes in and ruins everything. Well, it's time for Team Dignitas and the Playing Ducks to face off here. Will Dig get another victory, or will the Playing Ducks tie up the series? It's time for Sky Temple.
Game number 2, ladies and gentlemen, Sky Temple with Team Dignitas going up against the Ducks. Currently we have Uther, played by Wolfjoe for the Ducks, Sport Billy on the second support with Tyrande. The CC chain continues with Nanda on the Nubarak, Chris, of course, on the damage with Vala, and Eternal on the solo laner. He plays Sonya.
On the right side, in the red, it's going to be Team Dignitas here, as Bakery will be on the Rhaegar. Watch for him to drop down those cleanses. JPL will be on Varian Mayday on the fall stat, and we're going to have Snitch playing Genji. Finally here, we will have Zilia playing Arthas.
For me, it's actually pretty awesome that we are now seeing one of these CC chain combos again. I think this is definitely going to shake things up a little bit. So, yeah, I want to see how much of an impact they're going to have. You pointed out the Mighty Gust a bit earlier. Cocoon should try and hit Rhaegar to make sure that there is no Ancestral or Divine or Cleanse being used. But Falstad definitely is another hero to be concerned about. And he's also someone who changed up his level 1 talent really a bit. This Bribe being used.
Yeah, we'll see if that's going to pay off here for Mayday. I think Bribe stat can be really good if you're building into your W and you want to get to a spot where you actually can solo anyone in a one-on-one scenario if you get that W off. But hang on here. Automatically an engage happening at the top. JPL wanting to move in for a taunt later on should enable that Bribe stat if he chooses to build into it. Same time, our #1 Hungering Arrow Vala build connoisseur, if you will, is going to be that Vala on the left side as Chris is moving into it.
Yeah, Chris is going for Vala's Q, and I mean, he loves that build. He is the player who has played that build for the longest time and really believes in it, and he gets insane value out of it normally. So I really like the way that they're thinking and the way they're approaching this right now. One thing that I personally want to see is how Falstad continues his build, because there's a couple of arguments that you can always make for hybrid builds or for complete lightning builds, but overall, a bit of a hybrid is what you can argue for. If you look at a Nubarak and you look at Sonya at the front line for the Ducks, then you can definitely make a very good point of not committing to a seasoned marksman here, just simply because you don't really get too much against them compared to other very hit point heavy tanks, with the synergy with the level 13 talent gives you a bit more value.
Snitch in trouble though, almost getting caught there by Wolfjoe with the stun and the Sport Billy bringing out that Lunar Flare, working on those stacks there on the level 1 talent.
Just pointing something out, he just went up against the 2 supports.
Yeah, it
so
was down to a quarter health.
Exactly, and he nearly died. So that just shows the amount of CC that we have is just absolutely crazy here. And that is something that especially impacts Genji and how aggressive he can be. We always talk about how Uther is good against Genji with all the stuns. In this case, Genji doesn't only have to deal with Uther, he has to deal with the entire lineup that can stun him, or most of them. So if he just dives in and ignores that for a second, he will immediately fall.
And on top of that, the Hungering Arrow, sure, he can maybe deflect the first iteration of the arrow hitting, but the arrow will chase him when he ease away. He will get hit there constantly with it, and if he's low enough, like we just saw, that arrow will clean him up. So Genji gonna have a bit of a difficult time here. Dignitas looking over to that fall stat. Doesn't look like he's going into the lightning build. Sadly, getting hammer gains instead here. Wants to work in auto attacks and heal on up.
I actually like that. I really like that they're going for a hybrid build. I think this is the right way to go here. I wouldn't have enjoyed him with a lightning build. I think that's more so a very solid... You can make more of a solid argument for lightning build if your opponent has a very aggressive melee assassin that wants to go into the backline. That can be a Genji, that can be Illidan. In this case, going for the auto attack on 4 allows you to simply have a little bit more lane sustain by yourself. Since Falstad is supposed to be the one that soaks the off lane, that makes sense for them. Would still expect to see Boomerang on level 7 to have the wave clear, and then you try to get value out of your bribe, just hovering on the off lanes, trying to get the camp and then rejoining the team. And talking about the rest of the team, yeah, aggressively pushing the bot lane. This is in the end great for Team Dignitas because they will take that fountain out. But of course, there's going to be a trade-off since up at the top lane, we have a massive push for the first fort of the game.
Yep, playing Ducks is trying to match an experience here, and they will get that 7. But Team Dignitas continues to answer them bottom left as they're going to grab the fort themselves. So they open up the entire bottom lane here. And as you mentioned, great for the temple, but also good for them if they're able to keep up this experience lead. They're about to hit level 8 and can move towards level 10. And very commonly, we see those bosses being grabbed as soon as that 10 hits if you have a nice lead over your opponents. And Dignitas in a great spot, and playing Ducks got to find ways to make sure they stay even on experience.
The problem is really that the bot lane is oftentimes so important. First of all, there is no way for the Ducks now to move back behind a wall to safety and also tap a well. So taking that down was definitely an advantage for the Ducks over the fort that they took. But Dignitas is at least for now willing to give up the bot lane for a little bit, so not quite taking advantage of that situation yet. We still have Falstad at the top lane with the value. He picked up Boomerang as we expected, so he gets the wave clear, and he's doing exactly that. Stay at the top lane, get the wave clear, get value. Rhaegar takes the mid lane, same idea. Just push the waves in, deny some experience to the Ducks, who will have to react and give up the temple if they want it. So at this point, they're doing exactly that. But for Dignitas, things are looking strong. They already are in a pretty solid spot when it comes to experience overall.
And the playing Ducks, not knowing where Rhaegar was at, did pull away as Baker continues to hide in the brush, getting that level 10. Had to be pulled out, and there we go. 4 more shots to hit the middle fort, and it's enough to give them 10. They have a full level lead.
So at this point, we have the full level lead that you just pointed out, and that's also... This is exactly because of what we talked about. If you think about it, if you look at the structures, it's basically the same. Uther has taken out mid lane, that adds to it, but the extra fort has been taken. But the more important part is that there were several waves of minions that have been denied to the playing Ducks because of Falstad at the top lane and Rhaegar in the mid lane. They pushed the waves in, the towers took them down, so the Ducks didn't get the experience. This is why we have that level lead. Dignitas gets an early level 10, and that level 10 combined with the kill against Uther opens up a window for them where they can take the boss. Because they already dropped the bot lane fort earlier, that boss has even more pressure value now for Dignitas, and the Ducks are already just 6 minutes into the game on the back foot.
They're working on getting 10. They need it here for the defense, and they will hit the 10 here. So they're in a good spot in that regard. In fact, they're in the middle lane looking for a fight. They go in for the engage, but Mane drops down the Mighty Guts, forcing them to retreat, and Dignitas will spread out once again. They did ferry the boss all the way to the keep wall, so it'll work on that gate. But their main goal is to head the top lane and see if they can catch any stragglers that might rotate up to defend the fort.
Yeah, in an ideal world, they are going to get kills, and they need to somehow make that work. And JPL is pushing very far forward with variance, since he knows he's one of the most difficult targets for his opponent to kill. Falstad is down though, so that was already a good start for it, and this is the Cocoon. This is where things are starting to become interesting. Cocoon has been used, now they're trying to go for the stun combo again, and it's Rhaegar once, twice. They go in, they try to get the kill. They not quite make it happen. Sonya isn't here, and that's the end of Vala. With Genji now trying to clean house here, going for Tyrande, who has no escape potential. There's a double kill in favor of Dignitas. They make it a triple, and they are looking for the quad killers. Wolf Joe on Uther is just desperately trying to get back to safety.
And he is not going to make it home here as all 4 members get cleaned up. The playing Ducks, I like the idea there of going for the fight, but you have to get that kill on the Rhaegar if you want to have the 4-on-3. Bakery being able to sneak on out was just enough, especially with Thurnal not being in the fight. He was clearing up that bottom lane boss.
And this is a result of the rotations. So this is not necessarily the Ducks making horrible mistakes or anything here, but think about how this entire situation came to pass in the first place. Sonya had to stay at the bot lane because the boss was there. The rest of Dignitas rotated top to pressure the last remaining fort for the playing Ducks. The Ducks are able to pick the kill against Falstad, and then they get the cocoon. So they fight a 4 versus 4 at this point. And they just could not quite make that happen because they were lacking a bit of the damage they needed to drop Rhaegar. So in that particular setup was extremely well done here, but with Menino apparently dying at that bot lane, I'm not quite sure if he can get out of this one, I highly doubt it.
Nope, he tried to actually barrel roll over the wall, but Sport Billy just got the money Lunar Flare that actually interrupted the ability going off.
Yeah, but with that kill now, this is definitely good for the Ducks. So they might slowly be able to close that gap in experience, pick level 13, and then force fights. Because their team fight is still incredibly dangerous. So those stun chains are great. What Dignitas was trying to do so far in the game was play around that. And they haven't really been forced into 5 versus 5 fights yet.
May get forced here. Toronto's still on the bottom lane, but Nande is fishing, looking for something. Does find a GPO, but you're not going to chase a variant around the battleground. Your team is going to eventually get caught by the opposing team as they should rotate to him. Snitch is the other target, but he's able to dash away just barely. Ducks do hit talents, though. They are on the even side in terms of those talents now as they hit 13.
And you can tell that there is pressure on Dignitas in these situations because they know once the first stun hits, there might be the CC chain that they are not able to escape from. So they have to be very careful with their rotations. And I like the awareness that they have, that every time the Ducks are trying to angle for a rotation and try and get a kill, Dignitas is usually able to move out of it. We've seen Mena caught a few times, once at the top, once at the bot lane, but it was always extremely close calls here still.
Oh, hang on. A close call might hit again here as Bakery will be caught in the CC train. Snitch comes out and drops in the Dragon Blade, but Nande able to handle him as he drops Cocoon.
Yeah, here should be another stun. Nope, Mena comes in with a Mighty Gust and saves them for now. But this is exactly the issue. The stun chain is again successful and they're going in, and with Cocoon they can always try and open that up. And this is exactly what they are doing here so far.
Playing Ducks moving in for the fort. Remember, a fort to take down, the better the temples are for them to shell away on the opposing keep, and now they will do so as they do break down the fort and the turret in the middle. Still behind a level in experience, but still in a spot where they can force a fight. Should be able to linger around here, maybe go find that fall set or force something that opens up for them if Dignitas does overstep. But Dignitas playing it safe, rotating the bottom left here, trying to get the cutoff on the bushes.
Yeah, also, once again, trying to go in here. Okay, Ton is out, and we have, again, the first stun, but no follow-up for it yet. Again, Sonya had to be at the top lane. So, controlling the map through... If you look at the map, you see that every single camp that we've seen so far has been taken by Dignitas. They are constantly trying to look for that. Now Nande is in a bit of trouble, tries to turn it around with a quick stun. There comes the Divine Shield. He's attempting to move out, might get some heals, and we have Strafe covering the retreat from Vala, but still, the fight's not over yet. Eternal moving out, and Dignitas is on the chase.
Taunt is up. JPL unable to land it there. 16 right around the corner, but playing Ducks do get away from the fight just barely. But here's the bad news. Bottom lane's pushing, top lane's pushing, as all the mercs coming in, and 2 temples go up.
It's just awesome to see that. Thanks to Bribe and the way that they are playing around Falstad's Gust and everything else, Dignitas is really just playing the map at this point. Control all the mercenary camps, try to control the objective, don't engage into too many team fights, and if you do, try to make it on your terms, meaning on an advantage in either numbers or with a talent. So their coordination with this is actually awesome. If you look the way how they are playing, how they pull back from fights where they are on even footing with their opponent, it's pretty impressive.
It's a composition that seems designed to punish mistakes, which playing Ducks might find themselves in a spot because they're so team fight dependent in actually creating a mistake to happen. Luna Flare comes out. Zelia is in trouble on the right side. He will be able to pop up the heals. Will it be enough? And no, it's not, as Mane continues to stay in the top lane and grabs whatever he can on the temple.
They go for boss now. They have to make a play here. If you look at the map now, the mid keep is extremely likely to fall because of that. And the Ducks, basically what the Ducks are doing right now is we can't dance around them. We have to force something. They are the ones who are pushing the lanes all the time because they have globals, because of the way their composition works. We cannot engage into fights, so we have to force them into some of them. And this is what they're trying to do now with that boss at the bot lane. And what does Dignitas do? They react perfectly. They simply go to the top lane. And they're saying, hey guys, if you go through the bottom, then we are just going to commit top. And Dignitas is basically signaling, if you don't go back, we will race you at the core, and we are faster than you because your keep is already down.
They get the keep killed off, and they'll go ahead and pull on away as Toronto came back for the defense, but also because playing Ducks weren't showing on the minimap. They were in fact just grabbing the Giants. They grabbed the Giants and push in.
And they delayed them.
Yes.
They didn't immediately pick them, they delayed them. And because there was no vision and no indicator on the map where they were, Dignitas thought that they would be ganked, so they needed to pull back. And that allows now that push at the bot lane. So that was a really cool move from the Ducks. And now they can force the fights that they wanted to fight. But they're not getting the stuns in against Arthurs. The cleanse comes out first, but they need to fight a battle. The Ducks need to force something here.
The Ducks are trying, though. The boss continues to keep moving forward. Nande moves in. He finds a JPL. Zelia's in a good spot, too, on the right side. Mane being as careful as he can. He did use the Mighty Gust to open up this fight. Eternal taking some poke, and the boss finally makes it to the core, but he loses his life.
Yeah, boss loses a life. 2 keeps against 1 so far. But this is a cool game. It's a really cool game. There's a lot to learn here, not only from how to approach team fights, how to coordinate your skills when we're talking about the Ducks, but also how do I play around a composition that in team fights is extremely dangerous to me. The Dignitas makes extremely cool decisions, and it might sound like a really little thing, and we talked about it already, but I want to highlight again what happened when the boss was taken by the Ducks. How Dignitas went to the top lane and basically said, if you try to push with the boss for core, we will race you. And how the Ducks just they were only hiding. They were hiding in vision. As long as they didn't show on the map, Dignitas had to assume that there was a flank coming. So they finally moved back, and that was the moment when the Ducks said, okay, now we can push again.
Deception being a powerful tool there, and the playing Ducks utilizing it as well as they can. With one temple spawning to the very north, they are in a spot where they can defend the catapults pushing in the middle and the top. Sonya will be the one to grab the temple for now, for playing Ducks, and they are getting some keep damage on that top right corner. Dignitas in the middle is sharking around, but they have to be careful.
Yeah, once again, here comes the potential fight, and now it's a 5 versus 5 this time. Here comes the Cocoon. Gust follows immediately, so the 2 ults more or less cancelling each other out. Can the stun lock come into play? Time is working in Dignitas' favor. Keep that in mind.
Taunt is available in 3 seconds. That could be when Dignitas will want to turn around. But time working in the favor, you mentioned it. The catapults pushing in the top with the mercenary camps. The catapults in the middle as well, making their way towards the core. Dignitas needs to utilize patience here, and they are doing so.
We have Sonya now at the top, and she needs to be careful here. Eternal getting pushed away, and that should be a dead Sonya.
Oh no, Eternal definitely in trouble. Uth is on his way to come in. Will he have the heals? He drops off 1, gets a second one as well. Nande does show up, but he has used Burrow.
Catapults on the core, on the other hand, and the last keep is now being attacked because the temple goes over to Dignitas. Both of the teams at nearly even experience, but we see the Ducks pulling back, and they have to at this point. So they're pulling back for now, trying to make this work. Quick beast back, just because you get a little bit more burst heal and burst mana, so they don't have to cover that distance. But yeah, for now, they defend. Rega takes over at the top lane. A little bit more experience for Team Dignitas, and what do they do again? They control the mercenary camps to elevate some of the pressure that we have, or to reveal some of the pressure that we have at the bot lane because of that keep. But with the Ducks now eliminating the last keep of the... Sorry, with Dignitas eliminating the last keep of the Ducks, every single lane is now pressuring against the blue team, and they have to force something. They know that.
Ducks are going all in. They're trying to find JPL, but JPL barely sneaks away with 20 about to hit on the corner here. Ducks are in a really awkward position.
And look how beautiful this is right now from Dignitas. Dignitas, it kills the last keep, and they know at this point our opponent has to force a fight. We have the globals. If we get an objective, we win. If we get a boss, we win. If we just push in, we can also win this. We have the global. We have 3 keeps eliminated. Our opponent has to force a fight. So what do? We just move back. Move as far back, play as passive as we can. We wait for the 20. Then we have a small timing window, and besides that, we can actually see what we can do here. Now, of course, the decision-making here is also going to be pretty big because the boss is going to be up soon. And the Ducks might at some point be forced into a fight, but then we could, for example, see Mena fly to the top lane and try to push through and put pressure onto the core with catapults.
And Dignitas are doing everything they can here to set up for that boss. They push at the bottom lane, they got the middle wave moving forward, they're feinting pressure here on the side here, which makes playing Ducks back up, get a little bit more defensive, and this allows for them to move over to the boss and they can work towards burning it down, or they can sit inside the bushes. The only bad thing about this is that Tyrande is available for the Ducks, so they're able to scout out and play safe.
Exactly. Tyrande is always going to try and scout now if the boss is maybe even attacked here. This is a rough game. Yeah, this is a boss fight. They have to force it. Dignitas knows that it's happening, and they still have Falstad. Keep that in mind. He has the Mighty Gust, so they need to spread at this point. Nanda is already trying to push them away a little bit. Here comes the Gust, and he goes for the wind tunnel, but the boss is already taken, and that is huge, actually. That's a window where the Ducks might be able to take it.
They could. They're going to force a fight here while the boss continues to push in. Snitch will get hit with the first Poison Spear. JPL's on the left. He has used taunt, but there is another one up in 5 seconds.
Once again, they're going for Zelia here. There's already a camp pushing through the bot lane on the other hand, so the core of the Ducks is going to take some damage as well. Falstad flies down, and that's the problem. If he gets the temple, then it's going to be lights out. Dignitas is just trying to play around this. They're trying to laser as long as they can. The Ancestral is hitting Genji, and once again, they're trying to go in, but Eternal is already about to die, and he goes down.
But Chris is in the bottom. He's working on Falstad, putting damage in. At the same time, Nande goes in for a big engage. Snitch getting the Dragon Blade, bringing out one person, bringing out a second, looking for a third. Nande is the only one left.
The core is already falling on the side of the Ducks. They're down to 60%. The boss, of course, doing solid damage on the right side, but he just can't keep up with everything that Dignitas is now putting on the table here. The boss is nearly able to take the core down, but just look how low the Ducks core already is. Genji goes down, but can Chris also eliminate Arthas?
15%, 40% for Dignitas. Zelia working in the auto attacks. It's close here. Uther going in, but Zelia will die to the core and Chris. And the boss that was won earlier by playing Ducks has gotten the core low enough. The Ducks earn the victory and they tie up the series.
What a game. The Ducks take the game. Dignitas playing fantastic up to the last moment. And then they make a super unfortunate mistake around the boss fight. One mistake. Again, this is such a cool game. Like, they made every right decision, and then around the boss they had several options. Don't fight for the boss and simply go into the lanes and try to push for the core. Try to utilize Falstad, but they even committed to Wind Tunnel because they said the only thing that the Ducks can do to win this game is try and go for the boss. As long as we make sure that at that boss fight, either we play around them or we dominate that fight, it's fine. So they go for Wind Tunnel because they say there's basically very little on the other side that they can do to take this. So they go for the wind tunnel, and then they just don't move in time. They don't see the move fast enough, and all of a sudden the boss is taken even though the wind tunnel is hit. And at that point, you know that the boss alone can win the core, but that they were able to actually make it work. Wow.
It's ridiculous. Hungering Arrow build has been confirmed to be broken, guys. You got to be playing it. All right.